Hello, and welcome to the Alias Learning Engine, an AI-driven personal instructor that engages you in active learning and adapts to your needs and preferences as you work with it. Alias is built on active learning. You learn by thinking about and using information, not just watching or reading passively. You have a real exchange with a personalized tutor who explains the concepts, prods you to think, and lets you ask questions and discuss answers. And every response you give Alias shapes what comes next. That's the adaptive learning part. Before your first lesson, you take a short interest survey, and Alias draws on this information to make examples personally relevant. It also identifies your knowledge gaps and adjusts the pace as you progress. If you're uncertain, Alias notices and can try a different angle, offer a relevant analogy, or slow down until the lesson makes sense. Every lesson begins with an introduction that explains the lesson's topic, any readings you should complete before beginning the lesson, and a short 1-minute video that contextualizes the content. The goal is to make you curious and prepare you to learn. Next are the tutorials. Unlike a lecture, an Alias tutorial is a conversation that introduces ideas, draws out what you already know, fills in gaps, and assesses your understanding all at once. Let's look at 2 real student conversations to show you what that means. Student responses are in gray, and aliases are in tan. This first student arrives with a clear conceptual framework from the start. Alias recognizes this, so rather than explaining ideas that the student already understands, it pushes for greater precision and depth. Notice that Alias raises the bar to challenge and engage the student. By the end, the student isn't just applying a method, they're reasoning about when to use it and what its limits are. A student who already knows the material gets a more interesting conversation with greater depth. This student arrives without the vocabulary or framework for the topic, and they give short, uncertain answers early on. Alias meets them where they are, using concrete, grounded examples to work out abstract ideas before any formal language appears. When the student gets stuck, Alias breaks the problem into smaller pieces, or tries a different angle. At one point, the student says, "I don't think there's anything useful," and Alias redirects without judgment. Alias also draws on the student's interest in food and cooking for a key example. A concept that had felt abstract clicks now because it's rooted in something the student already knows. The student arrived uncertain, but by the end, they're giving real answers that they built themselves. The application activity is the final part of every lesson, where you do something with what you've learned. Research shows that being tested on material helps to cement it, so our application activities are actually part of the learning, not just an evaluation of it. These activities put you in a realistic, relevant scenario. The format changes between lessons, but the underlying process is the same. You apply what you've just learned. Here's an example from the lesson we've been working through. A local businesswoman has hit a wall on a design problem, and your job is to help her see that absurd thinking is the key. You'll walk her through generating outlandish solutions, identify which ones have real potential, challenge her assumptions, and shape at least one wild idea into something that she could actually use. This is an activity that requires you to really understand the concepts and how they work in the real world. In other courses, you may debate social media executives, apply concepts from the lesson to your own life, or analyze case studies to recognize underlying patterns. What these activities all share is that they require higher order thinking, analysis, evaluation, synthesis, original construction, not just recall of facts. Finally, we have a space for questions. You have access to it throughout the entire lesson, including the application activity. You can come here, ask any question, and get a personalized explanation at any time. While you won't get answers to the graded activity, you will get clarification on the concepts. And once you finish the lesson, it stays available. You can come back to it at any time to close any lingering gaps, connect ideas across tutorials that didn't feel related at the time, or revisit something that didn't fully click. And that's a complete lesson with Alias. From the first question to the last, Alias is there to support you, challenge you, and make the whole experience of learning something worth showing up for. We hope you get to experience it for yourself soon.